Devil's Lake, Crater Lake, for Pete's sake, I've been everywhere, man.
Senator Tom Cotton has been everywhere on the campaign trail, America. He is now with me. Welcome back, Senator Cotton. Good to talk to you. Where are you today?
Good morning, Hugh. It's great to be in the Tar Heel State this morning. I'm in North Carolina, where I'm campaigning with Ted Budd, who's going to be a great United States Senator from North Carolina, going to help us win the majority in just 13 days.
You know, Senator, I spent some time with your colleague Rick Scott this morning, and I think not only will Ted Budd hold, but so will the Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Wisconsin seat. Senator Johnson just got off. I know Nevada looks very good, and Georgia looks great. Arizona, very good. Colorado, hopeful. Washington State, possible. New Hampshire, turning. And do you know that Rick Scott talked to me about Connecticut this morning?
Leora Levy in Connecticut is a great candidate. I think she can beat Dick Blumenthal in what's shaping up to be a very compelling year for Republicans. And the reason for that is that voters all across the country are deeply dissatisfied with Joe Biden and the Democrats' radical agenda. 13% inflation, rising crime, a wide-open border, America in retreat around the world, and they are ready for a check and balance, even in states like Washington and Colorado and Connecticut.
Now, Senator, next week you and I are going to spend a lot of time talking about this brand new book, Only the Strong, which is maybe the most significant national security book ever written by a sitting elected official. That's a serious book. We'll talk about that next week. But against that backdrop, last night's John Fetterman, Dr. Oz debate had one national security question. One. What is wrong with moderate? This is what senators do. You guys do national security. There was one question.
Yeah, well, Hugh, as I explained in Only the Strong, the United States Senate has actually been an important check across our history on the left's globalist ideology. For instance, when the United States Senate stopped the League of Nations under Woodrow Wilson, which would have committed us to a world-spanning network of alliances, committing us to go to war in far-off places where we had no vital national security interest. That's one reason why progressives like Barack Obama and Joe Biden now try to bypass the Senate when it comes to important treaties. But further, as I explained in Only the Strong, our sources of power often start here at home. And one thing I want to highlight from the Fetterman-Oz debate last night is John Fetterman's misleading answer on hydraulic fracturing. That's the technique that our wildcatters and our roughnecks use to get oil and gas out of fields that have previously been unrecoverable. It's what's made America the world superpower when it comes to oil and gas production. But John Fetterman, just like Democrats in Washington, want to ban it because they have intentionally waged war on American fossil fuel production. This is not an accident. It's not bad luck that gas is $4 or $5 a gallon around the country. It's an intentional choice by the Democrats, as I explained in Only the Strong.
Only the Strong, we're going to talk a lot about it because I want people to have their eye on the ball. Last night there was one national security question. It was directed, Dr. Oz very artfully turned it to the Iran deal, very artfully, because he's talking there to Philadelphia and Pittsburgh Jewish communities in particular, but also to everyone concerned with national security and Friends of Israel everywhere in the Keystone State. I thought it was elegantly done. Of course, I think maybe the moderators are local hosts and they don't know what to do with that. But you've been everywhere. Does the Iran deal come up ever? Because it should. It's so destabilizing. It's such a disaster.
Yeah, because remember, the Iran nuclear deal was about much more than Iran's nuclear program. It kind of reflected the deep ambivalence that the progressive left has about America. Barack Obama didn't view that deal simply as a way to constrain their nuclear program. It did not, in fact, constrain their nuclear program. As I explained in Only the Strong, Barack Obama blamed America for the decades of tension between our country and the Ayatollahs. He didn't blame the Ayatollahs for their campaign of terror and murder of Americans for 43 years. He thinks it goes back to the 1950s when he wrongly believes that we somehow overthrew a supposedly democratically elected prime minister, and that if America would simply pull in our horns and atone for our sins and appease the Ayatollahs, then we would be able to redeem ourselves from all those sins, and we'd be able to retreat from the Middle East, which is another way of saying abandoning our allies there, like Israel or Saudi Arabia or the United Arab Emirates. So it's much deeper than just the nuclear program Iran has. It's about the deep ambivalence that the left has about America itself. That's right.
Now, only the strong
That's what you see from a lot of these candidates.
It is. I came into this professional life working for Richard Nixon, ghosting the real war with him. And I haven't seen a book this significant on national security in the course of an election. That's why we're going to spend a couple of segments a day for the next week talking about only the strong so that people understand national security is behind this election. Now, I want to talk about General Bolduc in New Hampshire. I didn't give him a shot. I wrote him off. Well, turns out it's a tie. I spent all summer in Maine watching Maggie Hassan ads run without, because there was a Republican primary. It's late. It's too bad. Chris Sununu would beat Maggie Hassan by 25 points, but he's not running. What about General Bolduc? Have you been up there? Is he going to win?
Yeah, I've been up to New Hampshire on several occasions. I've endorsed General Bolduc. He's a great American. He served and sacrificed for our nation, and I believe he will win in New Hampshire, in part because Granite Staters are tired of Maggie Hassan being a rubber stamp for Joe Biden. Again, she voted for every single Biden initiative over the last 2 years, cast a decisive vote, not just on the passage of bills like the $2 trillion inflation-causing stimulus they passed last year, but on specific amendments that Granite Staters view as astonishing. She voted, for instance, to make sure that stimulus checks continued going to prisoners, people like the Boston Marathon bomber. Or consider the fact that she was the decisive vote on the U.S. Attorney for Massachusetts. Well, why does that matter to Granite Staters that the U.S. Attorney in Massachusetts is now a Soros prosecutor? It's because New Hampshire, like so much of the country, is in the grips of an opioid epidemic, and so many of those drugs are coming from Boston up I-95 into New Hampshire. On issue after issue, Maggie Hassan has been a rubber stamp for Joe Biden, and Granite Staters know that a vote for Maggie Hassan is a vote for Joe Biden, whereas a vote for Don Bolduc is a vote to put a check and a balance in Washington.
Well, I believe we are on the cusp of a great vomiting out of Democrats. I believe it is a national referendum on a broken party, and one of the things behind that is the border. You've been everywhere. I have too, not everywhere. I haven't done what you've done and what others have done, but I've been out in a lot of states with a lot of candidates. I can't go anywhere. People talk about inflation, they talk about crime, but boy, do they talk about the border, and they are worried, Senator Cotton.
Well, they should be worried about our border. 5 million illegal aliens have crossed our border in less than 2 years since Joe Biden took
That's
office.
such a staggering number. It's just such a staggering number.
It's almost like adding 2 Arkansas to the country's population, on top of the 15 to 20 million illegals we already had here. Now, even if you presume every single one of them is simply coming here because they want to have a better job and find a better life for their families, which I don't begrudge the aspiration, it is still terrible for our own citizens because it's going to take their jobs, it's going to drive down their wages, it's going to make it harder for them to find housing, or for them to get their kids into a school that's not overcrowded, or to get to an emergency room when their kid is sick or when they're injured. But they're not all just coming here for better jobs and a better life, Hugh. Many of them are coming here because they're gang members or they're cartel members and drug traffickers that are unleashing crime and drugs, especially fentanyl, into our communities, which is one reason why we had 107,000 drug deaths last year in America. And that's probably going to happen again this year on Joe Biden's watch.
You know,
So
Senator, last month,
even if you're not on the Mexican border, every state is a border state.
Last month, 20 terrorist watch people were arrested by the Border Patrol. That doesn't tell us how many got through. They had 98 in the last year, which is 5 times what the previous 5 years have done. It's as though Joe Biden said, don't even bother. Don't even try. So now let me get to the hard question. Monday night, Fetching Mrs. Hewitt and I had dinner with a very wired Washington insider that said, well, if Republicans are going to win the Senate and the House, what will they do with it? I said, one thing they'll do is a reconciliation that will up defense spending. Now, in Only the Strong, and direct it to the Navy, which you write about at length in Only the Strong. Would you explain to people how you can actually use reconciliation to work with an infirm and I don't know how I describe President Biden. I don't know if he'll be serious. I don't know what his team is. It's weakness personified. Only the Strong makes that point. By the way, people can pre-order it. It'll arrive on Monday. Only the Strong. But could you get a defense budget through that's serious under reconciliation?
Well, Hugh, I certainly will be working to do so. As I explained in Only the Strong, our defense budget now is at historic lows. We had a small and temporary boost during the Trump era, but that really went to fill some of the gaps that had arisen during Obama's second term. But we're now as low as we were during the Clinton drawdown in the 1990s, as low as the dangerous drawdown under Harry Truman right before the Korean War. We have to invest more in our fighting men and women. And we can use the reconciliation process, which is, again, a way to pass something to the Senate with a simple majority, not crossing the 60-vote threshold that relates to taxes and spending. And obviously increasing the defense budget would do exactly that. It is an urgent priority that we grow the size of our force, that we complete the modernization of our fighter aircraft and our naval ships, both manned and unmanned, and that we continue to invest in the kind of basic missiles and other munitions that we need to counter China in the Western Pacific.
Okay, very last out of left field question. In the DeSantis knockdown of Charlie Crist, boy, that was brutal. I felt bad for Fetterman because he's ill and he's bad, but Charlie Crist had it coming to him. He got tattooed by Ron DeSantis, who quoted Chief Justice Roberts in Seattle School District, I think number 7, the way to end discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating on the basis of race. And I told Ted Cruz yesterday, I want to moderate the debate or the forum between Cotton and Pompeo and Cruz and DeSantis and any other Harvard or Yale lawyers out there to talk about the affirmative action case and ask you all, I think America, even behind all these other issues we've talked about, Americans are perplexed at what has happened to racial harmony in the United States. I think they blame Barack Obama, and I know they hate affirmative action.
Well, it's one of the rare occasions when I do think that Justice John Roberts got it right and put it well when he said the best way to end counting by race in America is to stop counting by race. It's divisive. It highlights our differences, not our common humanity. It mistreats our fellow citizens, judging them based on the color of their skin rather than the content of their character, as Dr. Martin Luther King put it, or simply on their accomplishments. I believe the Supreme Court is going to put an end to it this term, begin to say that governments at all levels of all kinds can no longer discriminate against anyone based on the color of their skin.
We are going to get to Only the Strong next week, a lot, because I want national security on people's mind. 30 seconds, Senator. You're a serious man. These are serious times. Do you think voters are going to vote seriously?
Yeah, I do, Hugh, absolutely. That's one reason why you're beginning to see movement in all these states and all these districts. Voters are simply fed up with the failures of Joe Biden, which has brought us, impoverished our people, opened our borders, endangered us around the world. When Democrats are starting to spend money to defend the chairs of their own campaign committees or defend incumbents in districts that Joe Biden won by 10 or 12 points, that a massive repudiation is coming.
We'll talk about national security next week. Only the Strong, a big series next week on the Hugh Hewitt Show. Thank you, Senator Tom Cotton. Stay tuned.